So Aditya, how do you get inspired each and every time? How do you keep on growing professionally and personally?
See, what happens is I am a very passionate person about my work or about my life. Like whatever I want to do, I want to do with full passion. Or else, what's the point? If I want to learn something new, I need to be passionate about it to learn. Right? I've heard it somewhere that there are certain hours. If you dedicate certain hours to learning a new thing, you can probably learn it as well. I don't remember the number of hours, but yes, I've heard it somewhere. So I always feel that if I'm doing something, let me put my heart into it. And if I put my heart into it, the inspiration or motivation is very automatic, comes within, right? You don't have to put extra hours or extra effort for it. So if you really love what you do, that passion, that motivation or inspiration, it comes automatic. So yeah, that is something which I feel is innate in me. Other than if you ask me about a few other ways how I can bring in that motivation, I would say that follow the people whom you look up to. Can be anyone from your circle or it can be from any industry. For me, it was my dad, my brother, and a few of the people whom I've looked up to throughout my life. They have given me that motivation. I have seen them, how they have experienced their life. So that has given me a lot of learning. I have actually learned from a lot of my friends as well. I have seen when they're at a point of life when nothing worked for them, how they have come back and they have thrived in their life after that. So I take motivation from that as well. So you have experience across yourself, right? If you look around you, you will learn from everything. So and also I feel observation is something which is very important. We have to observe in and around ourselves, and that is how you learn. If I have to recall, for the career which I have taken, it was only out of observation. If you recall, I watched the movie 3 Idiots, even prior to this. During that time, I could not relate. I just saw it as a movie. I never could understand this part, the subject for patents and trademarks. But what happened the next time when I saw this movie, I could connect. Okay, this is something new I've never heard of. The first time when I was watching the movie, it was only for its cinematic brilliance. Second time when I watched the movie, it was for actual learning from the movie. And had I not been very observant that day, probably I would not be sitting here and talking to you.
Maybe.
So I feel observation is a very important part of our lives. We should observe and learn from those observations.
So for the part where you were talking about motivation, right? It reminded me of something. So I've been trying to study French for almost 2 years now.
Oh.
And it's actually very funny that the only thing that I know is the alphabets till now. And every time I try and study French, I have been trying to motivate myself. Ananya, you can do it. You can do it. And my motivation is Emily in Paris, the viral show. So every time I see that show, I'm like, if she can do it, I'm sure every other person can do it.
Absolutely.
So it's just the motivation.
See, we have connected in this.
Yeah.
So definitely, this has given you inspiration to learn about it. So I'm sure everyone out there has that kind of inspiration from the things what they observe.
Definitely. They definitely have.